the people said that they wanted to review this. 2K didn't tell me that this is what he was doing, but we here now. So 2K apparently appeared on. Well, here, let's just do this a better way. I'm gonna get it pulled up the right way. We start off like this. See, we don't have no script. We don't have no script. We just get it in and we just make it happen. So we wing it and we figure it out as we go. All right, let's see if we can get this up here.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Wow.
All right, brother. What you want to speak about today, man? You here to debate or you want to speak about a topic?
No, I just want to holler at you, whatever. I know how it is, like how it is to get the content. So when you get some people up here, it'll be a good time.
Yeah,
But I just wanted to politic with you more than debate.
for sure, man.
I got this theory, and I like what you do, bro. Like I always say you almost like the one dude who the girls can't get mad at because you got that mushy voice. So, your
Man, they
voice-
still be getting mad though.
yeah, so like it don't come off as harsh as somebody can say it like me, because I'm a straight shooter, whatever. So it is what it is. But my thing is, I want to know if you can help me bring this point home. I came up with this theory that black women are the new white men. And
I know where you're going with it. Go ahead.
okay, and so what I mean by that is, I feel like let's take it back to slavery just a little bit. So, as human to human, we all knew that slavery was wrong. But as a white man, I got to enslave black people because that what was appropriate at the time. I knew that it was wrong, but I still knew that I could do it because people who ain't nobody gonna stop me.
Who gonna stop you? You outcompeted. You won a competition.
And I feel like black women are the same way. Like right now, they have the leverage, and I feel like they kind of abuse black men. Like example, child support. You know it ain't right how they abuse the system, but they do it because they can get away with it.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that, well, okay, so you're saying that black women have leverage because they can use certain systems to get away with things. That's what you were saying.
Without knowing that is wrong in morality, but
Yeah.
they do it because the law of the land say that they can.
Okay.
So to me, do that make black women the new white men? Because they take on these roles in several different parts of black men's life. I feel like that's the leading cause of death for a black man. It's probably a black woman. No, I'm serious, and I always say this like because my mama, that was my first toxic relationship with a woman.
Well, I could say this in regards to, black women and women in general, but since we're speaking about black women, they do commit a lot of the termination of unborn children. I'm not saying the A word because we can't use it on YouTube, but they are high in the numbers of terminating unborn children. So yeah.
When did the A word become unusable on YouTube?
That might be new.
No, you have to say deletion because I talk about women stuff a lot. So yeah, you got to say deletion, and that's been like
How do
the
you know?
last
How do you know
year.
you have to say deletions? Did someone tell you that?
No, I do YouTube, and I'm
That's not what I asked
anyway.
you. Who told you you couldn't
They
say?
send you a
Oh,
message and
no,
tell you like certain words is like
Who tells you this?
no, I'm asking.
YouTube. They will, they
Well,
will, they
Anton's the
will,
king dingling of YouTube, and he's confused about it. That's why I'm asking.
because Anton doesn't use that word. I'm
Yes, he
telling you that
does.
I
It's
use
been
it.
used on Anton's platform, and he just said, "Why? Who said you can't use it?" So if Anton know you
I
can't
didn't
use it,
say the
then
word. I
YouTube
just said who said you can't use the
like
word.
there's this plethora of words people think you have to like unaliving. People think you can't say suicide or something, so you have to say unalive or some dumb shit.
No, because YouTube is very strict about what verbiage, because they tend to censor a lot. So the A word, yes, that and sometimes with murder. Like I don't know why, but they do. And I don't know if they pick and choose or if they just randomly do it or if it's an AI, but YouTube will send you something and tell you have to take it out. because that's
Yeah,
why I
I
started
don't.
using the word
I
bleaching.
think certain words as being used depending on the context, because usually they'll review the video. Sometimes it'll yellow it,
Mhm.
right? So the video will be yellow tagged, and when it's yellow tagged, that means that it may not make as much money, or it may not make no money.
Correct.
Or they got to understand the context in which it's being used. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's certain things that trigger um, a check, like a more of a
Yeah.
check with YouTube itself. But I haven't had much of a problem as far as most of my videos monetized. Like everything is good on my end. So YouTube love me right now. YouTube love all my platforms at the moment. So I guess they in love with me right now. We'll see after the election. I don't know. But let me get back to 2K real quick.
And for that, in that case, we would say that yeah, they're they're decreasing the black population and stuff like that because they actually have that choices. It's only their choice. Men, we don't have any choice when it comes to that. So in that sense, I understand what you're saying. When we're speaking about black women having leverage than more leverage than black men, that's not true.
How so? Now we can get into that. How so?
Yeah. So just in general, women don't have more leverage than men collectively. So when we're speaking about men versus women, they don't have leverage because men, we are physically stronger.
There you
So that
go.
means
There's that
that we
retro
wield
talking
the
point.
enforcement
That physical retro
mechanism.
talking
So
point.
men, if we come together,
Mm.
right, we can put all the laws and regulations and rules and everything, and we can enforce all of these laws and regulations as well because we're stronger. We wield the enforcement mechanism.
I disagree.
I literally, before he even answered, I put my fist up because I knew he was going to go to the physical.
I mean, no, he's right. I think he's right when it comes to we are physically stronger. I mean, that's a fact. But I don't think that that has anything to do with leverage. The
Yeah, the women.
culture determines leverage, right? So if it's easy for a woman to accuse you of something that you didn't do, and then the narrative is to believe all women by default, then that means that she has the leverage based off of the society and the culture that we live in today. I don't agree with that. And I know he be cooking, and I actually like him. I think that he's a decent content creator. I don't know if Quentin likes him or not, but um,
I never said I
I
didn't like
actually
the dude. Let
disagree.
me get that straight.
I disagree with him fundamentally. I think that the environment that you live in determines your leverage. The culture determines your leverage. It's almost like playing on home court versus playing on the visitors court. You know what I'm saying? Like you have more leverage. You, I They used to have this thing. I remember the Pistons used to talk about it. And when you would play at the old Boston Garden, right, where the Celtics would play, all of the Celtics knew exactly where the soft spots in the wood was. They knew that they was gonna get all of the calls from the referees because they was at home court and they wanted them to win. They knew that they had a bigger market and the NBA wanted to sell them and push them and get the Lakers versus the Celtics back in the 80s to the finals. So the Celtics had the leverage, and then anybody that would ever make it to the finals or beat them or get past them in the Showtime Lakers, they had to basically play 10 times better or overplay to where they basically took it out of the hands of the referees and took it out of the hands of the NBA totally. So leverage is completely different than in this instance that I think that 2K and what's his name, Cooley?
Yep.
I don't know if y'all agree or disagree with that. What you about to say, Mika?
Well, I was just gonna say, I kind of disagree, and it's rare, but I kind of disagree with 2K, and not to a drastic extent. It's just that from what I've been seeing, I think black women are the new white women. And the reason why I say that is because even with all the election stuff that I've been watching, right? And they talk about, men, white women are up in arms about why do we care about what men want? Why do we care about men this, men that, men this, men that? Who cares about what they I mean, they are upset that we're talking about black men. They're upset that we're talking about this and that. And so I keep seeing black women go the wave of white women. And I was watching Shirley Chisholm's movie. And when Shirley Chisholm ran for president, one of the things that she said was, where are all the white women? I went out there to do all this campaigning for them and abortion rights and feminism. And now when I'm running, the white women are nowhere to be found. So I'm thinking that black women are trying to do the wave of the white women. And
Mm,
white women just want to get the white men the hell up out of here. Like they
mm.
are adamant. So I'm just seeing a correlation between those two.
I hear you. I got you.
I
I
think
got
black
you.
women are the same. Like they've been the same. They're functioning the same. They've always been this way. You got some black women that are extremists. You got some black women that aren't. You got some black women that are loyal to black men. You got some black women that aren't. I think they've always been the same. I think they always function the same. The circumstances under which they function might change. Like they're more popular. Their voices are louder now than ever. So that's just the difference. Like that's just what I think. Like the culture is shifting into their favor more than anything. Like if
Hmm.
you just look at like because all the shit that's going on like with uh like the A word and all that stuff, like how that's they to me they got the loudest voices in that whole
I don't know
thing.
if they got the loudest voices. I think that they the loudest in the room, but I don't think it resonates and it hits it much. And I think that's one of the reasons why they mad at black men with this whole Kamala Harris thing, right? Because they getting mad because we not on board. Because it's a
Yeah, I ain't fuck
possibility that
with
they
that.
can lose the election. I think that
Mm.
women have always had leverage because they had pussy power. That's it. Listen, the greatest of men, the Samsons, have fallen victim to a feminine woman. The problem with most women is that they don't leverage their femininity to get what they want, and they so busy being combative. You never get
Mm.
what you want being combative, because now you're just gonna do like this, and you're just gonna suffer as a result of it. You can't
That's
bully
true.
No,
nobody to
they
do
don't
what
know
you want
how.
them to do. You said what, Mika?
They don't know how. I keep saying this. The femininity in women is just gone. So they don't know how to leverage it. I say it all the time to women. Why don't you, like when even with the interviewers, you would probably get a lot of the people to say what you want if you're a lot more tactful. And women, when they're feminine, they can be more tactful. That's why they were used in a lot of wars, because women normally can talk their way in and out of stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
They don't use that. They don't use the art of war in their femininity. They're so busy trying to
Mm.
act like men. And so when you act like men, you get masculine responses, masculine energy.
yeah. That's true.
They don't know
Let me play a little bit more to see where they're going with this.
So with that, if I'm just looking at it logically and going all the way to the root, and what you say, black women have leverage. I wouldn't say that they have any leverage. I would say that they have leverage over weak men.
Well,
So
okay.
weak men,
So let me
yeah.
expound upon that.
A lot of people have leverage over weak men. Don't matter what race you are.
Now these are factuals, and I agree with you, but it's not determined to the strength or physicality level of the man, and let me tell you why. Because it's kind of like the slave that was an overseer. I It's not that we were scared of the slave that was an overseer. Is that he had the back and the master, and
He willed it. I get what you're saying. So, and that's what I mean. The slave that was the overseer wielded the enforcement mechanism. So he
right.
wielded the white man's power with guns and numbers. So then we're outnumbered and outgunned. I get what you're saying, but that is still the weak. The slave overseer is still a weak man, meaning that he was susceptible and influenced to.
Nope, he's wrong. He's 100% wrong in my opinion. I think that Cooley is 100% wrong. Absolutely wrong. What makes you weak because you the person that got the gun? He's saying that the weakness is based off of his susceptibility to being influenced by what was going on from the master.
Yeah, he's still a slave though.
Correct. Let me keep playing. Let me play a little bit more.
To go against his own people,
I
right?
don't know about it being weak because, at that, logically speaking, because we having a logical conversation, that's
Okay.
like saying that everybody on the plantation was weak. We know that not to be true. So this what I mean by this, because like let's say I'm a strong man, right? But she got the backing of the court system, and the court system allows her to get the children, which puts me at a disadvantage, no matter
Yep.
what type
He
of
is
strength I was
100%
bringing
correct.
to the formula in the first
Yep.
place. So that's leverage that we can't really do nothing about unless we gonna spend.
No leverage.
Yeah,
You
he can.
focusing on the effects. That's when manipulation happens. You chose to sleep with that woman unprotected and have a baby by her. So
Yep.
the
Even
onus,
That's that.
you know what I'm saying? So this the thing. We all have choice. There's
That doesn't mean, listen, just because you have choice doesn't mean that you don't have leverage. It's conflicting points. That means absolutely nothing.
I think
Listen,
this is where the
go ahead,
cliche
Quentin.
two things could be true at the same time is
Correct.
probably
You are absolutely correct. Go ahead, Quentin. I don't know if you were saying something else.
no. I believe both of them is right.
I
Yeah,
don't
they
I
both
don't think
right.
that I don't think that Cooley is right. Listen, you can, all jokes aside, we can go through the vetting process and everything, right? Who she is today can be completely different from who she is 10 years from now. You're not the same person at 20 as you are at 30. And her experiences, her influences, society, um, laws changing, money problems, meeting new people, where you work at, all of these things can then play a role. These are factors that's going to play a role in who you become and what ultimately the determining factor is. So let's just say, for example, you get divorced, and this is why men are fearful of divorce and not fearful of marriage. Let's say you get divorced because she's evolved into a different person, and because y'all was not on good terms when y'all got divorced, she then leverages the family court system in order to take advantage of the situation and then put you at put you at odds, because the person that you met and the person that you vetted could quite possibly be a completely different person than who you getting divorced from.
Hmm.
And so it doesn't change the fact that she has leverage in family court. Just because you chose to lay down and have a child with her, you might have done everything right, and then you might have got everything taken away from you.
Okay.
The original point is that it has nothing to do with how weak a man is. The fact that she still has leverage is the argument, regardless of how strong or how weak he is or what his choice is or whatever. At the end of the day, listen, the Duke lacrosse team, all of them white boys that was playing lacrosse and had money, power, and all of that, got accused of doing something that they did not do from a black girl, and all of them dudes got toe up. They lost their scholarships, their reputations was ruined and tarnished. They probably lost a bunch of job opportunities, all because she cried wolf, even though they proved it wrong later. Damage is already done. That's the leverage.
Mhm. So I just got a quick question, right? So when women make the argument that back in the day, men used to have the leverage, what is the difference in that, right? When they argue the points of, and I'm not for abortions, but I'm just saying when they argue the points of, well, I want to have, I want to be able to have rights to my body because the leverage was if I'm not able to do this and I get pregnant by this man, then I have to stay with this man. I can't get women at one point couldn't work. Women at one point couldn't buy homes. So all that type of stuff, it would give the man the leverage, right? And the children used to actually go with the man back then. So what I'm talking about is like what is the difference in the two? And like, how do we come to a consensus to where we can actually start building families instead of worrying about leverage?
I think it's over.
Might be too far gone.
I don't see it as something that's amicable at this point. It's nothing that could be fixed. I think that everything is broken, and until you tear a lot of these things that's preventing people from being fearful of the consequences of getting together and building a family, as long as you have family court laws the way that they are, that was created at a time that women didn't have the rights that they have today, you can't get
Mm-hmm.
people to go into the mire. You're not going to listen. More and more men, the same way that men is walking away from the Democratic Party because they're waking up, is the
Mm-hmm.
same way that men are walking away from relationships because it's not in their favor.
Right, but that's what I'm asking because it seems like everybody goes extreme when something is not in their favor, right? When all the things that I just named about what women used to not be able to do, they just went extreme with the feminism, right? And now because of the court system, men are just going, well, I'm not doing anything at all. And Bill Clinton slipped up the other day and said that, we got immigration because Americans are not having babies, and the rates are going down. The people are going
Why
down,
would they?
and right. But
Why
that's
would
what
they?
I'm saying. So
It's
that's
too
that's what I'm
expensive.
saying. So it's like, how do you, huh?
Kids are too expensive.
Well, it's not just that, but why would I put myself at a disadvantage and have children? I know guys that don't even want to have, they wanted children, but they don't want to take the risk of having children with the wrong woman. I think
Me,
it's
Right.
over. It's over.
How do you stop that, right? Because
You
I
can't.
hear women all the time that say that they're like, women to I guess to some of their point is they talk about that all the time, right? Well, he was a different guy, and I personally think you see it, right?
I
But there
don't
are
think
women
that
that
you can
tell me,
stop
"Oh,
it,
he
Mika.
was different then,"
I
and
don't
I
think you
got
can
now I'm
stop
stuck
it.
with a baby.
I don't think you can stop it. I think it's over.
the, the thing that I do agree with Cooley with is what he was saying, what he was about to say about where men's leverage is. Don't have
Okay.
kids with them. Don't have kids with them women.
That ain't leverage though. That's not the definition of
Eh,
leverage though.
Well, yeah, but that's our advantage. Just don't have kids with them.
That's not an advantage. That's just
Shit,
that's not an advantage.
you don't think
Because they can
so?
choose.
Yep.
Listen,
You can roll.
an advantage is something that you have over somebody. They have just as much of that choice as we do. That's not an advantage. Because
Shit, in this day
when
and
you
age,
talk
it
about the
is.
art,
These
think about it,
niggas.
Slimmy. When you're talking about the argument of leverage, that means that I can hold this over your head. I have this control over you. I have this power. I have this advantage over you. That's not an advantage. They have just as much say so on that as we do, if not more.
Well, shit. When the way I look at it is, when I'm talking to women and they telling me what they want, they list the requirements. My list of requirements is, hey, you can't be talking to me about like, yeah, you got to get a babysitter and all that shit. Like, I don't got to hear that. I don't have no kids.
Yeah, I
But
mean, but and I
that's
feel
probably
you
from a
on that.
different.
That just means that you got freedom of choice. But I don't. That don't mean that we have an advantage.
That's fair.
Because she can reject going out with you for any reason, just the same as you can reject going out with her for any reason. That's not leverage.
Yeah, dudes better stop fucking with them women though. Having kids with women that they don't fuck with like that.
I
But
agree.
that's they're not going to stop it. Just like you not going to stop these women from having babies with the Pookies and the Ray Rays, and they keep complaining about it.
Carrie, that's why I said you might as well have just came on the panel because you can't listen to what we talking about and not be engaged. You know you're gonna be all in. Let me play a little bit
I
more of this and see if we can
I
make
know
build
that's
something
why
out
I
of
had to
this.
call in the other day.
Let me see if I can pull a little bit more and then we're gonna go to the next subject.
There's people that
Come
just
on,
make the
Kim.
wrong choices and they're going to feel the consequences of those wrong choices because we are in a system where, yeah, the courts favor the woman when it comes to child support, when it comes to alimony, and all of these things, right?
Right.
So the courts is going to favor the woman when it comes to divorce. That's what we're pretty much talking about. So yeah, so that's why we do this podcast here and we speak about women's nature and men's nature, so men don't make these foolish decisions, so they don't make the wrong choice, so they don't pick the chick that got 3 baby daddies, mad tattoos, and dancing on a stripper pole. Because, dog, she's going to wreck you in court.
All right, so all right, my boy, check this out. Let's take the court side of it. Let's
Okay.
take the woman who also has leverage in the situation,
Uh-huh.
police. And guess who shows up? Men. Manipulates the cops, say, hey, he hit me. My choice don't even matter at that point if I touched her or I didn't. She
Yeah.
manipulated. And that's leverage. Femininity is leverage. And we all love a feminine woman. We'll die for them, go to war for them. But she can also weaponize that.
For sure. Anything can be weaponized, my dear friend. What I'm trying to get you to understand, I understand what you're saying. And you're looking at it from the reactionary standpoint, right? You want to be proactive. So I encourage men and women to be proactive so you don't have to go through the things that most people went through. So you don't have to go through all of those consequences. So yeah, that makes sense. If you choose a chick that's going to call the cops on you and lie to you about they making up a story.
See, where I think that Cooley is off is that nobody goes into it objectively thinking that they're choosing a chick that's going to call the cops on them and lie on them. Nobody would put themselves in that position. If they did, then they wouldn't put if we had that level of foresight, we wouldn't be in that position in the first place. Nobody gets with a woman and thinks to themselves, yeah, she might call the cops on me, but I'm gonna just see it through anyway. She
Yeah, you're
might
not gonna
accuse me.
go.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You're not gonna
saying.
go.
So
You're not gonna go.
we could use these theories and we can vet as much as we want, but I don't know anybody that objectively goes into a situation thinking that it's gonna happen and then still see it through. That's not how it
Yeah, I'm
plays
not gonna.
out. That's
Yeah, I'm
not
not
real
gonna see
life.
it through. I'm not gonna see it through. Once I get that inclination, it's over.
Right. That's not real
It's
life.
over.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
if
that.
anybody had a crystal ball into the future, they wouldn't put themselves in a situation. I'm sure it's a whole lot of guys that feel like they would undo having a child with the woman that they had a child with if they could do it all over again, and they would never have that kid.
Yeah, that's
And you and Slimmy are very smart men. A lot of guys ain't clicking on those cylinders. They will see a chick. Yeah, it's a lot of guys. They will see those chicks. They will see the quote unquote baddie. She'll be ratchet, got tattoos, this, that, and the third over here. It will be one thing if you're like, oh, I met this doctor chick and I just thought, she was gonna be, nice and phenomenal. But no, they will get somebody that you can see the red flags. The same for the women. That's why I never feel sorry for them. Because normally they see it.
No,
Like
I
you know the
understand
dude
that,
with the
Mika.
tattoo on the neck.
I don't disagree that we ignore red flags, but a red flag, to be honest with you, a red flag doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen. So I'll give you an example. A woman might be for the streets, right? She
Mm-hmm.
may be promiscuous and maybe a lot of guys that got with her. Number one, you got to take two factors into consideration. The first thing is that every guy don't identify red flags in the same way that guys that may be a little bit more experienced do. So some people are operating out of ignorance. I mean, there's plenty of guys that get with a woman that's their dream girl, but they don't realize that their dream girl is no longer as dreamy as he thinks that he is because he don't realize that she'd have been ran through by the whole football team. He just looking at her like this is my dream girl, and all he doing is going by the optics. So he may not have that level of discernment because he may not have as much experience. That's number one. But number two, even if you identify a red flag and you can see it, again, everybody has red flags. Everybody has something wrong with them. Everybody has something,
Mm-hmm.
what may be a red flag to you may not be a red flag to her. The fact that I work so much is a red flag to some women because they'll say, Well, he don't have the ability to spend quality time with you, and that's not going to be a great relationship. To this other
Hmm.
woman over here, she's saying that's a phenomenal relationship because I don't need a guy up under me all the time, and I need a guy that's going to provide and protect. So the context matters depending on where you are in your life and the level of experience that you have, which will then help you vet more effectively. But again, who you are at 20 and 30 and 40 is going to be different. So even there's guys that look at women that don't have no children and got herself together and she got a great career and they will say she a red flag because she ain't got no guy that tied her down and she ain't got no guy that married her. For some
And
people, they'll say she's a red flag. To me,
It's
I
true.
just think that she's intentional.
yeah, I mean, but and then by the same token, when I talk to a lot of women, they'll say, and I ask them, why they're single mothers. Well, I was young, So if that is an option, then by that option, a lot of these women can get out of their situation because they were in a state of ignorance, right? If you're coming from being, I guess under your parents' roof, and you get out there, and now you're in, you get to talk to all these guys and things like that. Like, so that's kind of the same thing. But to me, you just have to have discernment, period. I don't care if you're 18 or 88, you got to have discernment.
I don't know, Mika. I don't know.
Because these are non-reversible things. Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
decisions.
something. Yeah. So I get I
Listen,
get
listen. In the
I get
beginning
it,
of
but
this
ignorance is no
conversation,
excuse for the
Mika,
law.
in the beginning of this conversation, Mika, you asked a question and you said,
Yes.
how can we fix this situation where men and women are basically divided? Long story
Hmm.
short, and
Yeah.
people no longer want to build together, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Slimmy, for example, may have a level of discernment that led him to believe that he ain't never gonna put himself in a position to have to build with a woman. And that's why he ain't got no kids out of wedlock, and he ain't got no kids and he ain't in no relationship, yet he's a good guy.
He's intentional, though.
But the point is that you can't solve what for a problem. All relationships are risk. No matter how
Correct.
much discernment that you have, everything that you do is risk. The only way that you can truly solve for the risk is to never get involved in it.
But remember the movie you had me watch? Along Came Polly?
Hmm. And he
That's
fucked his
literally
life up by taking a risk with the wrong woman that had him eating nuts on the
right.
side of the street.
So you
No, no,
damned
no.
if you
Listen, think
do.
about that. The minute that he started taking a risk with that hoe, that's when he started getting his life started getting fucked up. He thought that it was fun, it was exciting, but that chick started running that nigga through the ringer.
Yes. Yes. And that's because he took himself off of what he normally would do and assessing the risk. So that's what I'm saying. Either way, you still have to have discernment because it's the same thing. It's just like that with women. Yep.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, it might be fun, but ma'am, this is a risk dealing with this type of guy. The same thing with the men. She might be extremely pretty, she might be popular, whatever, but there are risks associated with it.
Mm.